here, so everything is where it should be. Okay. As you can see, it fits the cavity very well, and it stays up like this. The reason it does is as it goes in, it moves out and fills up under the cavity where we made our undercuts. From here, I take the piece of silver and put it on a fireboard and anneal it. I anneal it by heating it red hot and quenching it. Then I'll dry it off, and while it's annealed, I do what's called burr field. This is done. This is a Glen steel graver blank that I've made into an inlay chisel. How I do this is I take the square graver blank and I turn it on its side, and I turn up little burrs. I like to do this all the way around the edges so that it keeps the silver from pulling out if there's ever a reason it should. Let's go around the edges completely, then I come back on an angle and start across, putting up burrs like this. They don't have to be very deep, they don't have to be very big, but these, as you hammer your silver in, these catch the silver and help hold it in. Once you get one set going one way, go ahead and put in another set, not directly opposed to them, and just find the empty spaces until you have a burr field like this. And because the fine silver is extremely soft, especially when it's annealed, it will go into this and lock itself down into the burrs, and it'll be very hard to pull it out. Now we've got the burr field in, and the cavity has been undercut, and the undercut has been raised all around. All the burrs are in. Now we take the silver that we have had annealed, and it snaps right in place. We take a plastic hammer, we hold it down, we just tap it, and as you can see, it's going, forcing itself right into the undercut. Sits there. Now we use a tamper and a hammer. This is just a piece of square stock or some kind of a punch that I picked up, and hammer that down. We set it starting in the corners and go around the edges. And you just work it until everything's set, and then go around the edges where you've turned up the undercut using the chisel. You have a lip there now that's a little bit raised, and as you go around this, you want to tap that lip back down against the silver, and that kind of locks it in there. As it pushes the silver into the undercut, and then it locks the steel down on top of the silver, and that completes the inlay. Okay. We've got our silver inlaid now. It's been inlaid and it's tamped in. What I do now is I take a file. I usually start on something this big. This is a 10-inch half-round bastard. It's a Simmons Mazda cut. I like it because one way it cuts removes a lot of material, and the other way you push it, it kind of smooth. It makes a nice cut. I use this Rio Grande burr life to put on there when I do the silver work because it keeps it from loading, and it makes it a little bit nicer. I just start putting the file down and pushing, and you keep going until the silver comes down to the level of the steel, and as it comes down, makes a little bit shinier. And then from this file, we'll go to a smooth file. This is a fine file. We're done now with the half round bastard. That's the cut we get with that. I'm going to go over it now with a fine file. And once I do this, I'll take this, after I file it like this until I'm happy with the finish, then I'll go ahead and take some 180 grit sandpaper, and I'll put it on my file like this so I can hold it back here, and I'll sand it like that. I'll do it, sand with 180 grit until I get a 180 grit finish. Then I'll go to a 220, and then a 320, and then a 400, and 600, and then I'll go ahead and buff. Once I reach 600, we'll have it to where I want it, and I can go ahead and buff. I don't think there's any reason to show you much more sanding. I'm sure you all know what that is, so I'll go ahead and leave this as it is. This one will be in a smooth sand, and this one will be polished.